time has expired. Mr. Thompson.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Secretary Duncan, good to see you. I think the last time we talked, we were breaking bread and talking about how to best serve the needs of this nation's youngest learners. I always appreciate those opportunities for conversations and love it when we can see eye to eye. I wanted to, the department's budget request focuses heavily on equipping the need to fill the jobs of the 21st century economy. And I think that's very appropriate. However, you do not propose any additional resources for the Perkins funding. Last month, over 91 members of the House, through the advocacy of the Bipartisan Career and Technical Education Caucus, requested the Appropriations Committee return career and technical education programming to pre-sequester levels. And we talk a lot about the unemployed, the underemployed, and probably not enough, but some about the dwindling workforce participation, which is, I think, incredibly important to the strategic success in the future of this country. Now, the solutions to address some of those problems is CTE programming through the Carl D. Perkins Career and Technical Education Act. Now, there's not too many social ills, I believe, that can't be addressed through a good family-sustaining wage job. Career and technical education programming enables individuals to have the skills necessary to be truly career and college ready. Now, I have concerns with the department's proposal to move $100 million from CTE state grants for a new competitive innovation fund, and it's just my first two questions are kind of go together. Why does the department continue to prioritize spending on untested and often duplicative education initiatives when we have a tried and true solution in Perkins, and why move funding away from a full commitment to fund the program?
Yeah. Well, first, appreciate your sincere interest and commitment on the early childhood space, and appreciate you taking the time to have that conversation. And also really appreciate your interest in the CTE funding, and it's a hugely important way. Again, I always talk about 4-year, 2-year trade, technical, vocational training. Just some form of education beyond high school has to be the goal. So I'm a huge fan of this. We have the blueprint out for reauthorization. Happy to get any feedback you have on that. That's a year or two old now. But what we're simply trying to do is make sure that those programs are training students for the jobs of tomorrow and not of 20 or 30 years ago. So quite candidly, again, I go to hundreds and hundreds of schools. I see some CTE programs that are cutting edge class. I see others that are a little bit outdated. And so what we're trying to do, not to invest in unproven programs, but we want to take to scale what is working and to make sure that these scarce resources are being used wisely, being used well to prepare students for the jobs and for the skills they need going forward. Quite candidly, that is not always the case with Perkins fundings. In many cases it is. In some places it's not being used as thoughtfully as we would like. And so we're just trying to challenge that status quo.
Well, I share Mr. Guthrie's concerns with significant concerns. Moving money away from a program really is consistently proven, and I think it puts at a disadvantage the 32,000 school districts that are rural in this country. That approximately 30% of all schools fall in that category. Many of them obviously don't have the resources to be as competitive.
So let me just check you then. Again, hold us accountable. What we've done in other competitions, again, is whether it's a competitive priority or a separate slate, we've made absolutely certain that rural schools and communities are well represented. I think we've gotten better over time at doing that. We can show you what we've done in other competitions, but I think we can address that specific concern pretty well.
Well, the shifting of $100 million, I think, is just a significant concern, moving that away from Perkins.
We'll leave this hearing at this point for live coverage of the U.S. House. The hearing does continue online at cspan.org. House members gaveling back in for legislative business this afternoon, debating a number of suspension bills, including one dealing with expatriate health care plans.